So this is part 2 of the video I made earlier about how I make money short selling stocks. Okay, so I don't want this to go on all night, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. But there is basically, guys, there is 4 things you have to consider and 4 principles you have to evaluate before you ever short a stock. So right here, guys, if you look up here, Seeking Alpha, this is one of many news websites, okay? And news, you definitely have to consider news, okay? The reason I say this right here, this website, guys, is very noteworthy for publishing articles that can immediately move stock price. And let me tell you, this website has produced a lot of BS news articles over the years. You cannot believe everything you read on this website. Like I said, they have news publications. They also have opinion publications. And so when you read an opinion article, be aware of what you're reading, okay? Because an opinion is one thing, but reportable news is something completely different, okay? Like I said, one is speculation, one is reported news that you can consider to be fact, concrete wall. You have to understand those 2 differences before you ever short a stock. Okay, you can click on a stock, and all these opinions are going to come up. You're going to have a positive news article, a negative news article, a negative news article, a negative news article, a positive one in there, then a negative one, then a positive one. You have to learn to kind of just block all that stuff out and just focus on news, okay? Just focus on relevant news, because the relevant news, that stuff can really push the stock one way or the other. The opinion articles are always going to be there. I tell you what, when you get some time, go to Seeking Alpha and look at Apple stock. There is hundreds of new. By the time I'm done making this video, there'll be 50 or 100 more news articles published about Apple. Okay, if I would have believed all the stuff I've heard about Apple from this website, I never would have invested in them. Okay, so that's my point. Before you ever short a stock, you have to be in tune with the news, and you have to be plugged into news websites. Just the most important thing here, guys, is understanding the very firm difference between an opinion article and a news article. All right, guys, so what I got pulled up here is the 1-year chart for the NASDAQ Composite. Now, this is very important to focus on overall market conditions. This is the second thing I want to talk about. You have to be in sync with overall market conditions. And the reason I say that is because if you go and short a stock, let's say a stock with a bad storyline or bad fundamentals, but the market conditions continue to run up, guess what? Those bad stocks can continue to gain value in a very strong bullish market. Okay, you have to wait, and you have to try to trade that momentum a little bit. Okay, momentum is a very, very powerful thing in the stock market. So if the market is heading in a very bullish direction and you start shorting a stock, you might be waiting a very, very long time before you have an opportunity to cover on that stock. So you would like to get some basic indicators or have some basic idea that the market is pulling back, or we're going to get into one of these big dips here before you try to short a stock, okay? And you don't want to be here at the bottom trying to short, because then the stocks can really explode on you as the market goes and recovers. You want to try to learn the tendencies of the market and learn for the key things to look at for when the market starts pulling back. So that is a mistake that is frequently made. I know I've made that mistake many times in the past. That's why I have such very small risk tolerance when I short sell. So, we can't all time the market perfectly, and especially with shorts, shorting a stock, identifying a dip is a lot easier than knowing when the market's going to fall off or when the market's going to pull back. So the big thing you got to keep in mind, guys, is make sure you have a little bit of downward momentum in the overall market before you ever short a stock. Now, the third thing I want to mention, like I said, it's another condition. It's another factor you have to think about before you ever short a stock, guys, is you have to have some level of thesis. You have to have some reason to justify why you're shorting a company. You can't just say, well, this company over here, their fundamentals are a little jacked up, and, I'm not liking their quarterly revenue growth, so I'm putting a short on them. You need some type of catalyst, some reason why you're shorting the stock. So the most famous, I guess the most highly publicized thing that has happened recently is this picture right here, where Elon Musk was on the Joe Rogan show smoking weed on live TV on YouTube. And this happened a couple of weeks ago. And I know, the next morning I woke up and I started getting plugged into some of my social platforms, and just about everybody out there was shorting Tesla stock based on this right here. Okay, so Elon Musk was getting high with Joe Rogan, and everybody, went to their phone, went to their brokers, went to their platforms and started shorting Tesla stock because this was a very bad look at a very unstable time for Tesla. And it worked. It worked. That was a catalyst where, like I said, you could trade downward momentum. You could have shorted Tesla stock and rode that downward momentum. So, just to tell you the truth, I shorted Tesla stock when this happened. I remember trading it, shorting them about $276, and I covered around $271. I got my nice 2 to 3% gain, and I got out. Okay, because Tesla bounced back up shortly after that. But that is another thing the three things so far is watch your news articles, observe market conditions, and then have some thesis or some theory why a stock is going to go down. If you don't have those three things, guys, you're opening yourself up to fail. So right here, guys, I've got the 1-year chart pulled up on Snapchat. In the first video, I mentioned GoPro, I mentioned I shorted Facebook, and I shorted Tilray. So I've got Snapchat pulled up, guys, because this is another stock that I've shorted many times over the past year, and it fits all three categories, okay? We've had the news at our back. I've always tried to short Snapchat when I know market conditions are dropping, and then my overall thesis in the short term has been pretty negative on Snapchat, okay? But the last thing I want to talk about is you have to have rules and you have to stick by them no matter what. So what exactly do I mean by that? What exactly do I mean by having rules and sticking by them? What I mean by that, guys, is you have to have a comprehensive entrance strategy and a comprehensive exit strategy. Okay? When you go to short a stock, you need to tell yourself, okay, tomorrow morning, let's just take February 18th of 2018 here. Okay, so when the market opens and Snapchat gets to, let's say, $21 or $20, I'm going to short them at $20, but I'm going to cover at 19. Okay, you have a very comprehensive entrance and exit strategy, and you never break your rules. Okay, you must be very, very disciplined to not breaking your rules. So, for example, I talked about Tilray in my last video, and one of the things I mentioned, guys, was that I shorted Tilray at $167, and I could still be holding that short right now. But it would have been in violation of my personal rules. So before I ever made that short sale, I had a comprehensive entrance strategy and I had a very comprehensive exit strategy. I already had my price targets mapped out in my head. This is when I'm shorting the stock, and this is when I'm going to cover, and I will not break my rules. The same thing goes for your risk management. Once you lose so much, You can take a minute and sit back and go, well, let's reevaluate it. But here's the risk when you do that, is when you wait around, the stock starts going up and up and up, and you really start losing your butt. Okay? That's why if the stock starts moving in a direction you don't want it to move in, just go ahead and cover, take your small loss, and move on to something else. So this is probably the most important rule and the most important thing I've talked about all night, is that you have your price targets in, you have your price targets out, and you don't falter, you don't hang around. You take your gain, you get out. If you stay disciplined and you practice these things on each and every trade, you will have a very high level of success. Okay? So I usually am positive and make money on 8 or 9 out of 10 short sales. Okay, so every once in a while I have to get out of one, and sometimes I have to get out of 2 or 3 in a row and take my small loss on 2 or 3 shorts in a row. But then I might nail 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in a row before I have to take another one, because I'm very disciplined to my personal rules. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you found these 2 videos very useful. Drop me a comment below. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you think I left anything out. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit that like button for me, guys. And let's get to trading tomorrow. Thank God the market's back open. Thanks a lot.